Since 2011, American Giant has been making everyday clothing with extraordinary effort. Not in far-off factories, but right here in the USA. We obsess over fabrics, fit, and details, because if you're going to wear it every day, it should feel great and last for years. From the cut of a hoodie to the finishing of a seam, nothing is overlooked. Our supply chain is tight-knit and local, which means less crisscrossing the country and more care in every step. The result is durable clothing, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, and denim that become part of your life season after season. This isn't fast fashion, it's clothing made with purpose by people who care as much about how it's made as how it fits. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Hour 3 of Freedom Fools on WBSM. The Brian's Beat quote of the day. When you can do the common things of life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. When you can do the common things of life in an uncommon way, you will command the attention of the world. That quote from George Washington Carver. We have spent the majority of the day talking about the No Kings rallies that took place in the backyard in the Commonwealth and across our nation. Some are just starting up. Some are wrapping up, depending on what time zone you're in. If you're in the Central Time Zone, they are coming to an end. But if you're out on the left coast, you're just starting off. Let's hear from you. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Good afternoon, Brian.
Good afternoon, Brian.
It's a gorgeous day out there.
It is nice. Isn't it a great day to go out and rally?
I don't know about that, but it's beautiful. The sun, the sky. It's like a summer day.
Almost.
Anyway, I put my heat on, and for what? You didn't really need it. Oh, you don't know whether you're coming or going with the weather, though.
That's the tough thing. This is how we start getting the sniffles and whatnot, too.
Yeah, I don't need that. But anyway, I find that things are getting tougher and harder. I mean, I don't think he's helping the economy at all.
You're talking about Donald Trump?
Yeah, I find that it's tougher for me right now.
I would tend to believe, Donald Trump did say this. He did say that there were going to be some rough edges at the beginning. I can agree with that. I think he knew what the writing was on the wall. I don't know that it's going to get better anytime soon.
Yeah, because of them tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just know that it ain't helping my pocketbook.
Well, when you give $20 billion to Argentina and you screw over your farmers by letting China now turn around and buy soybean from Argentina doesn't have to charge as much. What is that telling our farmers?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's telling our farmers, stick it up where the sun don't shine.
Yeah, but the farmers, they got it kind of good. They don't pay taxes. They live good, believe you me. And Trump gives money to them. He always allows an allowance always for them. And I know people, I told you already, that claim they got a farm and they don't. They're getting over, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I know somebody who said, for instance, okay, I saw this with my own eyes, said they were going to put irrigation in. It's not even a farm. They're not farming anything. They got a couple of apple trees, dogs running around, and a couple of horses, which horses are taxed, because it's a luxury. And the person's getting over on the horses. And also with this... the person said they were going to put irrigation in, right? So the money came, the check came, The person cashed the check and pays the mortgage, does whatever with it. And you know what? They don't check on any of that. In other words, when the government gives money for something like that, they should say, this is the amount we're going to allow you. We have to give you some contractors, names of contractors to do the job, but we're not going to let the money out till we see the job completed, and we're going to let it out in increments. So the job gets started, then they let the beginning check out, and then in the middle they come and check it, make sure they are doing irrigation, and then let that out, and then the third end of the project, and then put the money there. But they don't. They just hand them the money. Everybody's getting over but us. Everybody's getting over but us.
You bring up an excellent point. I would just cut it like this. Why are we giving people money to put in an irrigation system in the first place?
And they don't even have a farm, okay? Because they get over. They know the ways, the ins, the outs, and the honest people like me are suffering. Because you got to have a scam, you got to have a game, you got to have something going on right now to be up and above everything. Believe you me. Because just the regular people like me are not doing all that great.
Well, you don't have a farm. You do have a house. You don't have a farm.
Yeah, but the thing is that what I just told you is the truth.
Oh, I'm not saying you. I believe you, but don't get me wrong. I said before you have a house. I know you have a house.
Yeah,
we get a break for having a house. Well, why do we get a break for having a house?
No, I don't get a break for that. You get a break for a farm.
You get a break on your taxes when you go to pay your taxes if you're paying a mortgage. We get. This is what I'm getting at. Why is there a break
on the farmers? You mean?
I'm talking about on anybody who owns a property. Why is there a break on your income tax because you paid interest on a loan?
No, you're not getting it. In other words, if you and your lady went and bought some land and made believe you had a farm there, you could get farm plates. You know, there's a lot of loopholes.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I'm not arguing with what you're saying. I'm asking to take it to the next level. Why does the government have these we have such a complicated tax code that has a lot of benefits, breaks in them for people, especially for business owners, but also for homeowners. Why do they have to have a break? Why can't you just say, all right, flat tax, 5%, flat tax, 10%, whatever that figure is, on whatever your income is, if there's going to be an income tax, instead of, you get a break here and, you file form 1040 XYZ, that kind of stuff. That's what I'm getting at.
I just don't want, it's not good right now for the people that are average to poor. It's no good. The rich get richer. It's the whole thing. And he's doing this Trump is for the people with money. He is a person with money. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see where the economy's turning around. I really don't.
So what do you think? Do you think that any of these rallies that took place today, do you think that they were about the fact that folks aren't doing well themselves and that's why they're complaining about Trump? Or do you think they're just complaining about Trump because of all the other things that are going on?
No, they don't want him because they don't. It's not helping. What's he doing for us? Is he helping you?
Not really.
No, I know. And now my insurance said that I'm going to be on a different plan. I got to wait and hear about this. Oh, before we hang up,
I'm sorry. What kind of insurance are we talking?
I have health insurance. I have Tufts. But anyway, what I wanted to ask you was, because I got to do what you did. When you did all that, you lost all that weight, and you did all that. How did you do that? You disciplined yourself. You didn't take Ozempic, right?
Correct. I didn't take any drugs.
I know. So how did you do it, Brian?
Simple answer to you is I put my mind to it and decided what I wasn't going to eat. I talked to a naturopathic doctor first. He made suggestions, and then I had to put my mind to do what he told me.
And you turned it all around so you don't have sugar, right?
By and large, but I have to tell you, I kind of broke with what I was doing when my son got married and went out to California, started going out to eat and had a good time. But, that's the thing. It is a mind over matter thing. You've got to make yourself not do it. You can't just hope it away.
But you're not on metformin or anything, right?
I'm on drugs for high blood pressure and stuff like that. I am not on drugs for diabetes.
So how much did you lose altogether?
38, 42, somewhere in that ball range.
I got to lose some myself. I just had my checkup. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'll talk to you too. Thanks for the call.
Thank you. Bye, Brian.
Bye. 508-996-0500. Yeah, I noticed that I was getting a little heavier, and when you go to put your arms around woman friend, your arms aren't connecting the way that they used to. And I had to say, well, maybe it's time to change things around here. And I think now that I've got my mind back in that ball game, at least for the next few weeks, then, of course, I get to break all of that around the third week of November until the end of the holidays, and then I have to go on the real bender. But be that I digress. 508-996-0500. The caller did bring up something of import, and I believe an earlier caller, maybe during hour number one, said something similar. That and it was hour number one. He noticed that things aren't getting better, and one of the questions I asked, well, you're not going to blame Donald Trump for that? And he goes, no, but things in general haven't gotten better, and that's what the last caller was alluding to. So, can we separate the thing from the thing being Donald Trump? Can we separate him from all of the other maladies that are going on at this time? Higher prices at the grocery store. Well, somebody can turn around and say, tariffs. Yeah. Fair. I think I've got it over here. The price of a new car, I don't know who buys a new car anymore, but the price of a new car, not one of these electric vehicles, but just, your Ford, I was going to say Pinto, but your whatever the mainstream Ford is right now, going to cost you more than $50,000. Can you believe that? $50,000 for a new car. Now, I don't buy new vehicles because the second it goes off the showroom floor, the price takes a nosedive. Unless you have something that is 25 years or older, you're not going to see any kind of appreciation on that vehicle. But the point being, $50,000 for a new car. I don't know what year it was in the 60s, maybe 64, 65, 66, 67, one of those years. You could get a car, new car, off the showroom floor for $500. And now you're trying to tell me $50,000 for a new Ford? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? But that's probably in line. If you are a boat owner and you buy new boats, look how that price has gone up over the, 60 years. Bringing it a little bit more back to earth. I remember there was a time in my life that I used to wear blue jeans, Wrangler, Levi Strauss. There was a time that I used to. They never cost more than $10. I would fall to the floor if I were to buy a pair of new blue jeans today. And you'll pardon me if this sounds a little off on this topic, but when I would buy blue jeans, new blue jeans, they were a dark blue. They weren't these faded. They weren't these pants that had knees, the knee cutouts, so you could see somebody's kneecap. And people are paying $100 or more for jeans with rips in them? Are you serious? When we were kids, if you had ripped jeans, it's because you were out playing and you skinned your knee or something like that. Nowadays, it's a fashion statement. And you pay for that fashion? I know. Just calm down, Brian. But that's the way it is. Fashion is always changing now. I'm sorry if I don't find that fashionable. But by and large, women do, and men do too. I've seen men with pants like that. You know what I don't see with men lately? A lot of them walking around showing off their underwear with their pants, hanging down to below their crotch. But the price of pants, the price of... I bought a tie, just a pretty basic tie. Because I thought, well, I might need a tie with this outfit. They would have charged me $20 for a tie. And my head is thinking, last time I bought a tie, I think I paid $5 and you want to charge me $20? Or you better get in a new business, or at least you're not going to get me as a customer. So clothing is more expensive. Did Donald Trump say on the campaign trail that he was going to lower the gasoline price? Well, I guess he didn't lie. The price has come down, and I don't think that we can say that this is Joe Biden lowering the price of gasoline, but it's not anywhere near where it was when Donald Trump left office on January 2020. I guess we can look at the guy who's saying, drill, baby, drill. We're not going to blame him for natural gas. That's a Maura Healey thing here in the Commonwealth. We've got a lot of people to blame. All right. So today was No King's Day. Should we, a month from now, before Thanksgiving, but a month from now, should we do a No Queens thing here in the Commonwealth and protest Maura Healey? Would that fly? I mean, let's face it. Energy prices are up. She doesn't really seem to be doing anything about it. We still have a undocumented, illegal situation going on here in the Commonwealth, which I have to also put a lot of this on the shoulder of not only the legislature, but the people here, because we certainly had the opportunity to get up a ballot question one way or the other about sanctuary statehood. We didn't do anything akin to that. Nobody's really made a move to try to change the Constitution, because here in the Commonwealth, health care and sports care. I am reading in New Boston Post all the time, and Tom Joyce has been writing these articles, very well written, and he is a pretty active conservative. And it bothers him that there are boys playing on girls' volleyball teams, boys playing in girls field hockey. In particular, he has been writing about the fact that these boys seem to be heterosexual because in the case of the field hockey player in Berkeley, what is that? Berkeley, Rehoboth, Berkeley, whatever, one of those schools in that area. The boy also plays on the boys' baseball team. He is heterosexual to the best of everyone's knowledge. He's on the field hockey team, but, here's the part that really doesn't get mentioned about it. The fact that his mother, the boy's mother, is the field hockey coach. She used to play on that school's field hockey team when she was a kid. The boy's older brother played on the field hockey team. Their field hockey runs in that family's blood. And there's no boys' field hockey team. Now, there seems to be a lot of chatter about this when it's a trans person that has gone from being a boy to a girl playing on these teams. But people don't seem to complain anywhere near as much when it's a heterosexual boy. Now, somebody might say, hey, that's discrimination. And I would be hard-pressed to argue that. But until the rules are changed, or never mind changing the rules, the Constitution in this particular case, and I don't think you need to change the Constitution, what you have to do is come up with the way for boys to play against boys in field hockey. That way you don't have to worry about boys being on a girls' team. And it might mean that it's not going to be at that particular boys' high school. We do it with girls in hockey right now, regular hockey, ice hockey, where there are so few girls that want to play ice hockey that they combine the schools or the players. I believe players from New Bedford are playing on the Stang girls hockey team, and there may be some from Fairhaven doing the same. Just in order to let these girls play, which is their right, their tax dollars funding it, and you make the accommodation for them to play at the closest area team. Now, when it comes to field hockey, I don't know of any boys field hockey teams, so you might have to invent one. But in my mind, that relieves a lot of that pressure. So now you can at least focus energy on exactly how to take care of the situation with people that are trans that are playing on a girls' sports team or a trans boy playing on a boys' sports team. Nobody wants to sit down at the table and try to figure that stuff out. They'd rather just crap on each other. Oh, you got boys playing, and what about the locker room and stuff like that? All that can be handled. All of it can be handled. But people don't want to go down that road. They would rather just poop on the plate and keep on yelling at each other. Why, and it starts in the home. I don't know how we ever got in the situation of a lot of people being trans. And there's not a lot. There's less than 1% of the population is trans. But they pay their taxes. They work. So why do we let it bother us? And why don't we come up with solutions to problems? And this brings me back to Donald Trump and Donald Trump 2.0 in the White House and all his men and women around him. He's got a lot of yes people, or maybe he's got people that are scared to rock his boat because they fear what he might do to them. We've got a president right now. We don't talk much about it. Excuse me. I'm getting ready to. And I would certainly love your opinion. I brought it up with an earlier caller. Right now, we have our Navy in the Caribbean, a whole bunch of boats, including a submarine, all facing toward Venezuela. Venezuela has to the best of our knowledge, freely elected president, Maduro, who does not get along with the United States. And it's my feeling that our government is trying to knock Maduro out of office. And we're using lines like these are drug boats to provoke Maduro into doing something. Otherwise, if there really were drugs, we would see the standard operating procedure. You arrest the people, you show the drugs, you show the guns, you show the money. And you start building that case through the media, and then you bring it into the courtroom. But the Trump administration can't do that. And I'll tell you why. Number one, a lot of these bombings of these boats have been taking place in international waters. So who's got the jurisdiction? Not the United States. And I guess not even Venezuela. And what do you do in the situation where one of the boats that we were told was a Venezuelan boat, we hear from the president of Colombia, no, you bombed a Colombian boat and you killed Colombian people. Now, somebody might say, well, it's like ice. Every once in a while, they're going to make a mistake. Really? You think you're going to get away with using a line like that? Oh, we made a mistake. And then you wonder why people from another country might come to this country and drop a bomb somewhere. And then you've got the lady in the street. Why do they hate us? Figure it out. So now you can believe the New York Times or you can not believe the New York Times. But a couple of days ago, what's today? Saturday, Sunday, Thursday or Wednesday? The New York Times had an article, Trump administration okays covert operations by the CIA in Venezuela. So, first of all, I invite you to go check for the headline if you don't get the New York Times. And then ask yourself, do you think the New York Times is just making this up? Or do you think that the Trump administration is really trying to do this? I would also say, if you think that the New York Times is making it up, well, nobody's making up the fact that these Venezuelan boats that allegedly had drugs on them, nobody is making up the fact that they were bombed. Nobody's making up the fact that the Colombian boat was a part of this mess, even though the Trump administration says it was a Venezuelan boat. And we do know presidential administrations, not just the Trump administration, presidential administrations have a tendency to lie to us. So now, do you want our military getting involved with Venezuela? If you want to believe the drug story, you can. I think we're at a position right now where we really don't know. I'm not here to say I believe Maduro, but I know from experience that we should not just be believing our military, especially when Hegseth is telling reporters that you only report what we want you to report, or that's it. I mean, that's not flying. But at the same time, that might mean that our reporters don't get this story, so to speak. So now, again, I don't know how much of what's going on in Venezuela or with these Venezuelan boats have anything to do with the No Kings protests, since those were planned, or that thing that happened today, planned long in advance of bombing these boats. But it brings up a trust factor. People are saying, they like what Trump is doing, especially when it comes to illegal immigrants. Yeah, I like sealing the border. But if you're going to round up people, you can't be rounding up people that are U.S. citizens or are documented to be here. You can't squeeze off people's First Amendment rights. Doesn't matter if they are a green card holder or here on a visa. They still have that right. Now, it might be true that the Secretary of State can revoke that right. Well, okay. Well, revoke it for a reason, not because people are party to a letter speaking strongly or harshly about the treatment of folks in Gaza. If that's a reason for having people deported, then we got some real problems here in this country. And I think people are missing the larger picture here when it comes to these protests, these rallies that were taking place today. It's not one thing, except maybe, I'm going to take that back. It could be one thing, and it's Donald Trump. Somebody said they hate Donald Trump. That's what they should call it, a hate Donald Trump rally. I guess they could have. But you know how Donald Trump would have responded to a hate Donald Trump rally if you had called it that? So we've got to look at it from the standpoint, are people that fearful of the President of the United States? And if they are enough that they're considering him a king, what do you think would be next? I mean, look what Donald Trump, I'm telling you, and maybe you don't want to believe me, but I would highly suggest that you at least look into what is going on in Venezuela. Do you want our government meddling in the political affairs of Venezuela? Because what I believe is that this whole thing about blowing up the ships, the more that I look at it, the more that I listen, the more that I read, this is not about drugs. I'm not trying to say that from Venezuela, drugs don't make their way up through Central America and cross the border that way. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is what's going on out in the Caribbean with blowing up these ships, that's not about drugs. Because if it was, this administration would want to prove it to you. They'd want you to see it. They want to say, see what we're talking about? You can't trust these Venezuelans. You can't trust Maduro. He's been doing this all along. And then you would be right to say, well, maybe we do need to stop it. You might not say we need to overthrow a government, but we need to stop it. We need to apprehend these people. When drugs are being sold here in the United States, when drugs are being sold here in our country, do we tell the military or do we tell the Drug Enforcement Agency to just kill the people? No, we wouldn't think, but you don't care because These are brown people from some other country that you have no idea, and they must have been running drugs because Donald Trump told you they were running drugs. Marco Rubio told you that they were running drugs. And so it's okay because it's way out of sight, out of mind. And you're saying, God, that's a little harsh, Brian. It might be. But sometimes, since it is out of sight, out of mind, we tend not to pay that much attention to what's going on. It's out of our orbit. And they shouldn't have been running drugs in the first place, whether or not they were running drugs. It's not my brother or my sister on that boat who might have been out trying to make a living. You will care about it if something like that happened here or close to the United States, off of our shores, off of our international waters. But it's happening down in Venezuela. It doesn't matter that our military is popping up. It doesn't matter that the Trump administration has okayed covert activity in Venezuela, or more to the point, against Maduro. So if it's against Maduro, what about the drugs? It's against Maduro, not the drugs. But people, they don't care. And so, as the last caller stated, this president hasn't really helped her. And I do like the fact that the border is more sealed today, and that it's difficult for folks that don't have documentation to get into the United States. But hell, if I'm down with the program of trying to catch people, even if it means catching U.S. citizens, even if it means our ICE officers are bumping in to the citizen and then trying to say that that citizen committed assault against them, that is part of why people are out protesting today. 508-996-0500.
To change something, you must build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
This is WBSM.
First you spread your bread with peanut butter and marshmallow fluff, and have a fluffer nutter.
You know how politicians take advantage of a crisis. Would it be okay if I do the same? The Small Business Administration is closed during the shutdown. However, owners still have a viable option. It's called alternative capital through legitimate business funders. At legitimate business funders, owners can get up to $2 million with no collateral in just a few days. To find out more, go to legitimatebusinessfunders.com. Legitimatebusinessfunders.com.
There's no better fool than the Freedom Fools. Now, back to Brian.
Not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer. It's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad the young people can't afford homes.
He's right. Got some pictures here from the Buttonwood Park, and it looks like there were a lot of people congregating, let's say around noontime today. Again, I don't know. I'm not the type of person who can look at a crowd and tell you, oh, yeah, there must have been 1,000 people there. Usually when I do something like that, it turns out that it was 50,000. I can't look and guesstimate like that. Hello.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
I am. How are you?
I am as well. So I just wanted to comment on your last caller. She was talking about how, everything's kind of hard right now. And I definitely relate. And you guys had brought up that, is it Trump's fault? the administration, when they doged, which I agreed with the doge, except they were doging the wrong people, I felt like. So you want to talk about a trickle-down effect, people who are working for the government lost their jobs. Now they're relying on safety nets, so that puts pressure on them. Then those safety nets are getting cut. So people are truly suffering right now, and it'll be trickle down. Talk about, that's kind of what's going on.
Well, my first instinct when I hear something like that is we never should have gotten into that position in the first place. But now okay, you're right. So the correct thing needs to be done to change it. And if you don't cut them now, then when do you cut them? Because the country can't keep going. We're already 38 trillion in debt, not deficit, in debt. So how do you keep going?
Well, correct. But, when you're cutting, parks programs and recreation programs, but you're buying brand new Cadillacs for ICE agents, it's like that. The money is not like sitting tight. It's still being spent at the same amount. It's still going out into useless causes when, I just feel like people are suffering. And like, I really related with the last caller. She said, I'm just an honest person, and you have to have kind of a scam to get by right now. When you're just like honest and trying to do your best, it feels like you are in,
Well, I can understand about the ICE part and certainly the Cadillacs and some of the other equipment that we make and sell to other nations. But the problem is we need to have a cut across the board. A lot of these programs, if you want them to be a program, can be handled by the states. That means, yes, the states are going to tax you more, but the federal government won't be taxing you, so you have a little more to play with.
Correct. But I think it was also at the rate that they did it. It was too much too quick, and it's falling too fast. People don't have a chance to take a breath and get used to a new life. And then get themselves back on their feet. There's no time for it because everything that's kind of for the working people are the programs that are being cut. However, there are contracts being made with huge billion-dollar companies, So it's like that money isn't being placed as it was said it was going to be.
All right, fair enough.
On nonsense.
Fair enough. How would you do it?
Well, I wouldn't run for president. I would just say what the problem is and hope that they had a great administration to be able to solve some of the problems, I don't know how I would do it, but I would have cut, there is a lot of bloat in the government. We all know that. But I feel like a lot of the programs that were cut were not bloat programs. And if they were, the entire programs or it didn't all have to be cut, And
I come back to where this is what you are stating right now is my biggest fear. And the fact is that every program now has a side program to it. And we're talking about side programs being cut. And that's just, more jobs that are being cut, people that are paper pushers. It's not going to stop.
Right. No, it's not. And then along with people losing their jobs, relying on safety nets, also the cost of everything is going up. So there's no reprieve. It feels like you're kind of drowning in quicksand, and it feels like there's no way to get out of it. It doesn't feel like a safe environment right now in terms of the economy. So, yeah, we're saving 15 cents on gas. That's great. Nobody can afford a car or a house or rent. I
think that's why a lot of people were out protesting today. I do appreciate your call.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
No, thank you. 508-996-0500. Thank you and hello.
Yes, Brian, the previous caller. This is one of the other problems. And the thing is, people want gratification instantly. This is the price we're paying for the prior administration and what they've done, or how they've wrecked this country. and we're paying the price for it now. This president has been in less than a year, but they want gratification instantly. Well, it ain't happening. Like he told everybody, we're going to have to bite the bullet for a little while until things straighten out, until he can do his job. People, let the man do his job. And if he doesn't do it right at the end, then he's on his way out anyway in 3 years. If he were to continue for some reason, which that's not going to happen, but if he was going to do a second term, then we would vote him out. But let the gentleman do his job and everybody else, and let him figure it out. And, you know, it's just like if I were to come into your job and start telling you what to do, and I don't like what you're doing, and knowing nothing about what you're doing. Again, let the man do his job, and it maybe the end of the year here or into the next year, if it's not starting to straighten out, then we can bitch. But until then, hold on, bite the bullet. You're not going to get gratification instantly. We got to work at it. And this is what we've been left with.
I want to say well said. No, I want to say well said. I'm just very skeptical of the man in the seat. Thank you. I do appreciate the call. 508-996-0500. There's a huge, and I mean absolutely ocean huge divide in this nation between this administration and previous administrations. We saw how Joe Biden declined over this, especially over the past couple of years, but the whole 4 years of his tenure. I'm sitting here and I've thought about this for a couple of days. And you can point your finger somewhere else. I'm pointing the finger at the Democrats on the national level, at least. And if they had had an active primary, maybe Kamala Harris makes it through the fray, maybe she doesn't. I'm a firm believer that Donald Trump won re-election because nobody wanted to put up with Kamala Harris or what Joe Biden had done. If they had had a decent, and I do mean decent, candidate, things may have turned out differently. They did not. That's on the Democrats. But that leaves us with what we have, at least for right now. And to the other caller's point, I guess let's give it to the end of the year to see what happens. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and more than one finger.
When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty.
WBSM.
Here's what's happening this weekend on Town Square Sunday. We've got news about the Sea Glass Theater Company. We'll speak with Artistic Director Patrice Tiedemann about the history of the theater group and two upcoming performances on October 25th and 26th, titled And the Beat Goes On, 100 Years of Cabaret Music. Also, New Bedford Light columnist Jack Spillane stops by with his thoughts about the New Bedford preliminary election. A few surprises there. And Jack has finally unraveled the mystery surrounding longevity pay for elected officials in New Bedford. Been going on for 35 years. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me every Sunday morning at 6 and 11 for Town Square Sunday. 1420 WBSM, 99.5 FM.
The government may be shut down. Legitimate business funding remains open. See for yourself at legitimatebusinessfunders.com. Legitimatebusinessfunders.com.
Freedom Fools on WBSM. Here's more with Brian Thomas.
If they don't want to go.
No, they won't.
If they don't.
The Arabs want to go.
If they don't want to go.
They want to go.
If they don't, what happens?
The normal people don't want to live in hell.
What you're talking about sounds like a plan for ethnic cleansing.
If you want to call it cleansing, if you want to call it apartheid, you choose your definition. I choose the way to protect the state of Israel.
I wonder how she is feeling right now. That's Daniela Weiss. I'm in for Barry this coming Monday and for the remaining Mondays through Thanksgiving. 60 in Marion, 63 in Seekonk, 61 in New Bedford. Adios.
Traveling around from town to town. Sometimes I think I'll settle down, but I know I'd hunger to be free. Roving the only life for me. Adrifting